Hello Dangerlings and good evening. It is Wednesday night here in the UK. It's dark, it's stormy, but one thing we can promise, it is dangerous. So welcome to Dangerous Wednesdays with me, your host James Foxy Lockhart as usual. And as ever, we have the irrepressible and the unstoppable and the unmasked Dan Janmaster.
Hello everyone, how you doing? Check it out.
Someone
had a birthday. Someone got some sparkly face masks from the same place that does my leggings. So I'm not going to wear this for the whole stream. I just wanted to show it off.
Well, no, that's fair enough. And well, hopefully some people are going to jump on and be like, oh my God, we're not even sure if anyone's there yet. They can't see it. They might be watching this on catch-up. So just to confirm that it does match his leggings. So what we might do is later on, if we get Matt on and we get a leggings check, we might put that to the test.
I think so. Well, it doesn't match these leggings because these leggings are also a present from Ross. So I put those on in case, although he's working, so he probably won't turn up either. It could be a quiet one because we know there are, our American listeners are being battered by storms at the moment.
Yes.
Avatar, we know, is currently being hammered by hurricanes where he lives. So good luck to him. He's been hit by a lot of them this year.
Yeah, America's taken a pounding.
Yeah, well, he sort of said it's kind of all right. Like I know when he bought the place, it's in like Hurricane Alley. And they've had like they built their own house out there.
Wow.
He was telling me, and they've done. They basically have just never been hit by a storm, even though they live in like Storm Central until this year, because it's 2020, of course.
Of course.
So now they've been just battered by everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Amy thinks it's very fancy, and hello, Amy, and hello, Greg. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. And hopefully, if you're watching this on catch up, any of our US listeners, our thoughts go with you, and hopefully you've battened down the hatches and everything is cool out there. Speaking of which, we're getting a little bit stormy here in the UK. How have you been faring, Dan?
I've been doing all right. I'm going to take this off because I'm...
Ooh, it's just as Steph's like, oh, sparkly face mask.
Sparkly face mask
Chris
was there for a
is
bit.
Here. Sorry, just to cut you off. Chris is here.
What?
Storm be damned, he says. I know, because I was chatting to him on the Discord about 10 minutes ago, so I was like, hopefully he's okay. I need to say, we're thinking about you, Chris.
You hero.
Yeah, you ledge, mate. You absolute ledge. Well, yeah, you've seen the sparkly face mask, which is just as a recap. Do you want to recap what it is, Dan?
Stormborn. So this is because it was my birthday last week, so I now have a number of face masks that are from the same company where I get my leggings from. So I can now match, and my jackets. So I can now match leggings, jackets, and face masks if I want to go out, just to increase the chances of me getting beaten up around East London. I can now be a sparkly superstar wherever I go.
Yes, that's right. Members of the Danger Club podcast, risking being beaten up on a daily basis generally. So, well, at least some of us are. So, yeah, tremendous. And how have you been, Dan? Look at you drinking red wine. What is... I mean, it is. It might be said. It is Halloween. In a few days, so you're allowed to drink a bit of red wine. We did a House of Hell on my stream yesterday, and it's the week for that. So yeah, but how have you been?
I've been all right. I had a good birthday. We went to Meat Liquor which is my favorite burger place. I hadn't been there in since this year. We're crazy. So my wife and I headed down there when we did the thing where, because in London at the moment you can only go out with people that you already live with, unless it's for work. If it's for work, apparently it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So weirdly, we can still record because we're a business. But like, if we want to socialize, we can't then go to the pub with it. Like, I couldn't go to the pub with you, James, could I?
No.
But I can go with my wife because we live together, so that's safe.
Exactly.
So we did the thing. We went to Meat Liquor, and it was great. It was great to be back there, and their burgers are good. The green chili cheeseburger is a good burger, but it was so weird to see that place quiet because Meat Liquor is one of these places that tweet. Well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? They tweet pretty good discounts sometimes. I'd be up for that. But it's one of these places that like cultivates busyness. Like, there's always a queue outside, and some of that's artificial. I'm sure they manage it so it feels busy. But like, even when you get in, it's one of these places you go and have a couple of drinks at the bar while you wait for a table to be ready. And it means like, I've never had a meal there sober until today, because you've always had about 3 drinks before you get to your table, which is part of the fun thing of it. It's just rowdy and busy, and it was so weird to be there, and there were like 4 tables with just couples on them, and it's just empty and quiet, and it's just like, oh man, this, it's been it's been very strange. I'm, I want to say a huge thank you to the Dangerlings this week, because you've been bringing me life. This has hit me hard. This second lockdown, and it's what passes for a second lockdown here in London, and kind of, the entertainment industry has taken another back step, and it has been a rough few days, and I've gone back to having panic attacks and not been in a good place. And then I've been logging onto the Discord and seeing just beautiful comments and amazing conversations, and just what a lovely community we've got, and it has just brought me back and just made me smile. So thank you, all of you, because I've really been leaning on you this week. And I appreciate that. How have you been, James? Sorry to drag us into a
no, not at all.
So early.
No, it's good to have a catch up, and I'd again just try to make do as best we can. We're all sort of struggling through and making light of where we can. But I have to agree that our wonderful community in the Discord is a source of constant joy and pleasure, which is good. And it's sort of reaching out as well. I'm going to be playing a Cthulhu-based RPG game with two members. Well, one of those a Dangerling and another fellow I haven't seen since school. So we're talking about 25 years ago. So that's going to be really fun. And it's nice that these sort of positive shoots, these positive things that come out of such a calamity that struck us, and it's just positivity all around at the moment. So I'm doing all right.
Mate. Please, can we talk about that on Dangerous Wednesdays once you've done it, because I want to know all about the Cthulhu role-playing game. It's something that I've always been really, even though I'm not like hugely into Lovecraft as a setting, that like I know kind of how the mechanics work for the Cthulhu game, and I think it's a really fascinating way to run a role-playing game. I'd be really interested to sort of hear your experiences.
I can give you the rundown next week. I'm currently genning my character, and I can tell you it is fairly inscrutable. The character gen system, it is quite different, but I am a big fan of Lovecraft and the mythos and things like that. So should be tremendous. And
someone else is playing a game with some of the Dangerlings fairly soon, and you will not believe it. I am playing a game of 5e.
Are you part of the Club game?
So Alakar is setting up a Curse of Strahd game.
Yes, I know.
I think through Club, and yes, I am taking one of the seats in that. I have no idea how to play that game or anything really about it. So I am going to. That is going to be an interesting one, trying to learn all of that.
Well, exactly. I mean, here we are. I mean, actually, you will be quite relieved. It is one of its hallmarks and sort of, selling points, I think, as we discussed before, is that it is pretty easy to pick up. And interesting, because Alakar's also, Chris has asked me to sit on the game, and I was like, I've got a few plates spinning at the moment, but I might drop in. But I am I'm not going to schedule any streams on Sunday night to allow space, because I think Club is flipping fantastic. And if it's one thing we bang on about all the time, as you'd expect, is the wonderful unifying power of these games. Doesn't matter what system you play, be it D&D or of course Pathfinder, which we play. It brings people together, and I think that's tremendous. So I'd be really curious to hear about. We've got a lot to talk about next Wednesday.
Yeah, next week's gonna be good.
Contentious.
Some new characters.
Chris has also said he has the Call of Cthulhu game and he's never played it, but it looks great. I have to say, I know we talk about a lot, and this might be coming up in today's stream, but I've been having a look through the Investigator's Handbook, which is a resource that you can gen characters with, and the artwork is beautiful, very, very evocative of the thing. It's really, really good, so we'll definitely be chatting about that. And, I suppose, after all that, Club, get a lot of love for Club, and you, Dan, as well. Steph said, that's wonderful. Union on us whenever you need, Dan. And apparently Alakar, capital letters, said, we learned it from watching you, Dad. So there we go. And now everyone's saying Club. So yay, Club. But it really is. It's wonderful to see this thing that we've helped bring into the world, and it's just, you're all amazing. Now, enough of this gushing. Perhaps we should move on to news.
Let's move on to news.
There
is some fun news.
All right, so Danger News. That's what I just sort of, cut it up a bit.
That's nice, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, keep the Dangerlings on their toes. Yeah, it's got a bit hick. So there we go. A special hick edition of the news. What have we got going on in the world, Dan?
Danger News. So we've got two news items today, and they are both about Kickstarters, one of which has launched, one of which has just been announced and will be going. which may be of interest to people who play. The first one is one that has just been announced, which is starting next year. And it is for a board game called Pathfinder Arena. There's going to be a Pathfinder board game announced. Because there was Pathfinder Battles, which is like a minis game, which I've never really understood and doesn't ever seem to have really got off the ground. And then obviously the adventure card game, which is a card game, and that's done through Paizo. But this is a Pathfinder Arena is being made by an Italian games company called Giochi Unity International. I have never heard of them. I looked through some of the other
Panotti
games.
International?
They sound like it. They do. It looks like they do a lot of Euro games. They make a lot of that kind of market trading and things like that, which are games that you and I really enjoy.
Yeah.
But this sounds very different. This sounds like Arena is going to be. It's a miniatures combat game. So you play 4 here. It's a 4-player game. You all play heroes. I think they're going to be based on the iconic 4 of the iconic characters from Pathfinder. You are in a labyrinth. There are monsters that spawn in the labyrinth. But the kind of the hook for this game is going to be that the labyrinth is fluid, but the monsters always stay where they are. So when the monsters appear, they appear in fixed points. But then the players, I guess through playing cards or using abilities or doing something like that, can reshape the labyrinth. So you can move passageways around and cut off access to monsters or move, rearrange the board. And it's competitive. So it sounds like the idea is to be the warrior who kills the most monsters without getting killed themselves. So you're going to be fighting monsters while also trying to rearrange the board to either prevent the other players from getting to the monsters they want to kill, or I guess maybe trapping them in with dangerous monsters, things like that.
Okay,
that's all we know.
Yeah, it sounds like sort of HeroQuest meets Pac-Man.
Yeah,
but you can change it. But you can change it with a la sort of House on Haunted Hill. So there's quite a few game mashups going on there.
I know that it's interesting to me. There's very little else available for you because it's only just announced. We know it's going to have 18 high detail miniatures with it. It's going to have lots of spells and feats. So it sounds like it's going to have, it may be one of these things you end up backing just for the minis because you get cool minis with it.
Yeah.
But it sounds interesting. Certainly, I love my board games. I have very rarely found a board game based on a franchise. Certainly not a role-playing game franchise, which is good. I know there are some of the Star Wars has some good ones with Rebellion and Imperial Assault. They're quite good.
Yes. I mean, the thing is that they're hardly groundbreaking, I'd say. Good idea, but it's building on that kind of HeroQuest, sort of Space Quest, all that kind of stuff. Space Quest, was it Space Quest? No, what was the one with Marines?
Space Hulk.
No. Space Hulk as well. But what was the one with? So you had part of Marines, and there was a rocket launcher one, and there was a chain gun guy one, and you had to go through. What was it called? Was it? Maybe you can answer us, Dangerlings. It was a Space Crusade. Space Crusade.
Oh my goodness!
And that was actually based on the Warhammer 40k mythos.
Yes.
So you fought Tyranids and weird stuff like that. So that was great. I loved that one.
My key sort of issue with a lot of kind of franchise-based board games, especially when they're based on role-playing games or other war games and things like that, is that a lot of the time after I've played them, I've sort of been like, okay, that was all right, but I would sort of rather be playing the thing it's based on.
Yes.
Or I would rather be playing these mechanics but with an original theme, because you tend to end up getting a bit of a watering down of both with some of it, and you tend to be. I certainly found that with Imperial Assault. I was kind of like, oh, they've done a really good job of making a miniatures game that sort of tells role-playing stories, and I'm like, it's fun, but actually I would rather be playing a really good miniatures game right now or just playing a role-playing game. I don't really feel like this isn't the Star Wars, it hasn't quite done that for me. But I know this exactly. Could be fun.
It could be fun. I was just going to say, I think that's an excellent point you make, because a lot of these games were a sort of bridge. So things like HeroQuest was to get sort of, you know, kids involved who have maybe played board games, getting more involved with the D&D, because it's like, hey, you like the little character sheet and the character? There's another game when you get a bit more into it where you can make your own characters. But then if it's trying to straddle them both, it can, yeah, like you say, end up being 6 of one, half dozen the other, and not really anything particularly sort of, you know, why am I playing this exactly?
Yeah, it can do that, but at the same time, the idea of it being competitive is intriguing to me, and the idea of being able to move the board. There's some interesting ideas in there, certainly enough to want to keep an eye on it.
This is it, yeah, and I'd like to sort of add a caveat, because obviously that's what I said originally, but this one does sound interesting. It sounds like it's taking it and using an innovative mechanic and making it quite... It doesn't sound like one of those like, hey, this will get you into Pathfinder. It's like, no, this is going to be a fun thing that, you know, you wouldn't be able to do in the real thing. So, cool.
I think it'll be interesting. I mean, to be honest, depending on how you play it, Pathfinder is almost already a miniatures game. Certainly not the way we play it, but if you want to collect all the stuff and you want to play with maps, then it's virtually it almost is a board game with extra rules. So this is going to have to be significantly different to make it interesting. But it's definitely new. We will see.
And we did have you heard? I think I'd heard a rumor, but I hadn't really looked into it. Chris says that the Critical Role guys have their own board game publishing company now.
I would not be surprised.
No, apparently a photo came out yesterday with the whole Critical Role crew and the board game they have coming out from Steph. So, and they've got releases scheduled for every quarter next year. I mean, it's a juggernaut. They'd be foolish not to attach lots of things or give it a go, isn't it?
I tell you who else is in the board game publishing business.
Who's that?
It's our very own Mad Turnip, Matt Letty.
Yes.
He has some very exciting projects, which I'm sure it'd be great to chat to him about at some point.
I know. I would love to chat about that, because there is a bar that is named after me. In honor of me, the Foxy Lockhart is a bar that is cropping up in it. I'm so excited about that. It just absolutely tickled me to think I'll be immortaled in some sort of a cool game made by somebody. It's just so exciting. I can't wait to really talk about it and keep sending me like updates for that and stuff.
So the second news item, if you want to move on to it, news item is another Kickstarter. This is a Kickstarter that launched very recently. And is already funded. It got funded in 12 hours, which is not surprising because it's been publicised quite heavily. They were, doing bits and bobs at different conventions and sponsoring podcasts and all sorts. This is Beadle and Grimm's Character Chronicles. So Beadle and Grimm's are a company that produce like kind of luxury level role-playing game add-ons, character sheets, maps, props, things like that.
Minis?
For you. They don't do minis, but they do kind of all of the extra stuff if you want to take it to the next level with to feel your character, to get your character involved. And they've done a lot of stuff for D&D. This is their first experiment with doing a set of things for Pathfinder. And what they have done, what they are making is a set of character chronicles, they call them. And what they are effectively is super high-end character sheets. So one of these things, so these are like leather-bound books. Each one is apparently about the same size as the Pathfinder core rulebook. So it's a big chunky thing. These are second edition ones. They've got like a leather cover, vegan leather, if that is which is excellent.
Good.
They have got and they're like professionally bound books. You get a 20-page character sheet in there, which covers everything.
Hold on a second, Dan. 20-page
character sheet
for what? So your personal autobiography?
Yeah, but this is the idea: is you don't spend all this money on something if it's for a character for a pickup game. This is for your character that you're going to play for years and years and years. So it has all of this space to write in all of your notes and your chronicles and your everything about your spells. It's got space for house rules if you change stuff. It's got space for quick rules, things like that. It's got it also has, as well as all that, it has all of the rules from the Pathfinder core book for your class. So each of these books is for a different class. So there's a cleric, a wizard, a rogue, and a fighter one. There's just some of the core fantasy classes that they're doing at the moment. And it's got, if you, as well as getting that with that, you'll get all of the stuff. So like the wizard one has got all of the arcane spells in it. so you can reference your spells without needing to go to something else. And you get a journal in there as well, so you can professionally journal your story. The one thing I know that you do get as well, you could draw maps. The thing in the more which I really like is you get a death certificate in there as well, so that if your character ever dies, you can actually fill out an official death certificate for them.
My God, that's tremendous.
Lovely. I think that's a really lovely little thing.
Wow, I'm tempted, actually. That sounds awesome, like a Velda proper leather-bound thing. Especially, because also, like you say, it's a special occasion character, but if, our original core characters for the DCP, that's something I'd quite like to have immortalised in a leather-bound book, and it'd actually be really useful.
And they're not, the weird thing is, they're not, without this sort of turning into just a plug for them. I was expecting to look on this and being like, oh, that's a nice thing that, if you have loads of money, you can get that, and that's fine. But it's probably not for us. The pledge in the Kickstarter phase to get one of these is $35. So that's 27 quid, which for a leather-bound book, if this is for your forever character, if you're one of these people who plays one character and you want to have all of this, that is pretty good.
It is. That is pretty good. I mean, I'm quite tempted because, like you say, if it was going to be something 90 quid, you'd be like, okay, no, that's fine, thanks. I mean, Amy does make the good point that as soon as I can see getting this and then having the character die straight away, just literally 26 quid for a death certificate. And Chris makes, of course, the Murphy's Law. I think that's the general sort of theme is that you buy this, you'd be like, yay, and just when you finish filling it out, they get mullered, and you're like, my forever character.
The standard one, you might get away with. What it would definitely happen on, there's $100 version which you can do as well, and that you get it's the same book, but it's like higher quality leather, and it's in it. You get a slip case, and it's you get dice, and you get Hero Forge vouchers as well, so you can get your own mini made as well with it. You get one of them, you are definitely dying in your first, not your first game, but long enough for you to fill out enough of the sheet that it's a pain to go back and rub it all out.
Yeah, that is death incarnate. Hey Ruth, and hey everyone else who's joined us. Yeah, Ruth says they look like beautiful books, but I get my characters killed too often to use one. I think this is very much something you'd have to be really sure, and maybe even copy a character who is maybe already level 6, level 7 into that book. I would be surprised if anyone was ballsy enough to copy a level 1 character in there, because that's just doom.
I think it could be, and some people play campaigns where it's very hard to die, and that's kind of the understanding of it. Maybe that's a good way of doing it, but it's it is a risk in that factor. There's also I've kind of come around to thinking that if you are not using a digital character sheet for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, then you are very brave, because it just, every number on that sheet changes every time you level up. It's it takes so much work if you're not using something that calculates it for you. And it doesn't have to be like Path Builder, but just like an app, that one of the editable PDFs that we've talked about on the show before, so that when you level up, you can just be like, add 1 level and all the numbers go up.
Yeah,
it's especially having used the Roll20 ones, and I'm just like, oh my god, why are we still using pencils?
Well, it's true. Ruth also makes a comment about shipping before backing. Yep, that's a good point, because I remember various stories we had on a previous Dangerous Wednesdays where people were giving horror stories of how much they had to pay to get stuff. And also Greg makes the comment, don't Pathfinder Society characters tend to live longer? Yes.
It is quite hard to die in Society, and it is very easy to get resurrected in Society. Also, you can get to a point where once you have a certain amount of resources, then it's almost impossible for one of your characters to die.
I think Greg might have hit upon a key selling point here as well, because obviously in this Pathfinder Society, going along to certain things and sitting with a bunch of strangers with a character, that's when you want to be getting out your leather-bound character sheet with the fancy pants. There's definite sort of bragging rights going on there.
There is. I know, knowing Society games, you turn up to it, get your leather-bound thing out, open it up, and someone around the table were like, actually, can you play your rogue instead, because we need it, we've already got a wizard in this group. And then you're just like,
you'd be like, no. And now we're thinking about maths. Hello, Candice. So people saying they don't like math. And Amy makes the good point of why math when you cannot math. Very wise. Very wise indeed. But they are quite confusing. And actually, digital character sheets we've been using for quite a while for some other games, and I am quite sold, just because they are, they can do the calculations properly.
I'm in the process of digitalizing our Starfinder character sheets for our Starfinder campaign.
I've already got one.
You already have one, but I'm in the process of putting them on Roll20. So two of our players now have sheets on Roll20, so they can just click the abilities and it will roll it all for them.
Yes.
So get on that gravy train if you wanna not have to you don't have to do that much maths anyway.
Do you know what? It's funny you might mention that because it's a big circular loop. Because I was looking for a fillable character sheet for this Cthulhu game, and it's proving a little bit troublesome because a lot of sort of third-party websites and all this kind of stuff. But John, who is going to be the keeper, which is the name of the GM in the Cthulhu game, he said, "Oh, you should go on Roll20 and use the Character Mancer." And I made the point that it sounds like someone that we should fight. But apparently, the character thing is called the Character Mancer. That you put on there, so you speak to this. Yes.
I love that.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? So, but yeah, it looks like I'll also be able to talk about the Roll20 sheet after this because we're going full, sort of balls deep in the Roll20 system because we haven't done that yet. We have used it quite extensively over lockdown, but we've never done the full kablamo.
We've never made a game from scratch. So we played all of Against the Aeon Throne. I knew we'd end up talking about Against the Aeon Throne on this because it's going to be a Starfinder heavy episode.
It is.
And we've just finished Against the Aeon Throne, and it's a tremendous adventure path. We had so much fun doing that. And really well adapted for Roll20. It's the only Starfinder adventure path that is available on Roll20, where you can just buy it and you get everything. You get all your maps and all your stat blocks and macros and even things that I never figured out before we finished it. But loads of good stuff in there. And now we're playing Signal of Screams, and I'm having to upload everything individually, and I'm working it out. But the custom made ones are so much easier.
Yes, exactly. And obviously a big shout to Candice as the only Dangerling who likes maths. She does. That would be great if you have a fillable character sheet for Cthulhu. It'd be. The thing is, this is where all these systems kind of fall down because unless you're familiar with the system you're inputting the character sheet on, so the character sheet into, because I'm having to do two hurdles there. So I'm having to first of all get my head around the Cthulhu character sheet, and then secondly get around having to put it onto Character Mancer, which, to be fair, I can't really comment on its accessibility yet because I haven't done it. But this can be where the snake kind of eats itself with fillable character sheets because you're like, I just want a piece of paper with pencils, going back to what you said originally. Like, who likes that? Sometimes you do. But I do agree. I think it is the kind of the future. Right, Greg asks, are they going to release Fly Free on Roll20? Not that I play Starfinder.
Not as far as I know. I at the moment there is a vague commitment by Paizo to do more to support virtual gaming. However, exactly what that involves, that seems to be much more skewed towards Pathfinder at the moment. So at the moment, the Pathfinder adventures are all coming out on Roll20, the second edition ones. They are appearing some faster than others. I think Extinction Curse is all out. I'm not sure if Agents of Edgewatch has appeared on there yet, and they got those. But they also do map packs with the it's a hard one to say, map packs with the
now Pathfinder adventures.
Yeah, if you get the event, buy the adventure online, you also get some high res maps, which are a little bit easier to upload onto Roll20. So that's quite good. And if you look around, you can find programs that will strip out all of the even online programs that will just strip all the images out of a PDF, and then you can sort through them and find your maps in there. Like we talked about last week, grids are still a pain. You're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I would love if Fly Free or Die goes on Roll20 on its own. It will definitely be on Fantasy Grounds, but that is quite expensive. So that is
right.
Fantasy Grounds is a totally different product, and everyone needs to have a copy of it. That's the issue with it. It is, by all accounts, a little bit better than Roll20. So Roll20 is kind of, if Roll20 is like the PC. It's not quite the Linux, but it's the PC version, and then Fantasy Ground is the Mac version. So Fantasy Ground is a lot more expensive, but it's really polished, and it kind of does everything for you. So it just works. Whereas Roll20 can do way more than Fantasy Grounds can, if you're willing to muck about with all of the different settings and get it exactly how you like it.
Good analogy.
That's the kind of difference between the two of them. I hope Fly Free or Die does. It sounds like the sort of thing that would benefit from being played online and from having trackers where you can, all that sort of stuff. If you can manage your starship and your cargo and everything on a virtual tabletop, that sounds sensible. But I have doubts about it because the adventure path we're going to talk about today, Devastation Ark, is not on Roll20, and that is very new as well. So if this commitment to having stuff come out on Roll20 is going to apply to Starfinder, then I would kind of have expected it to start with Devastation Ark, but maybe not.
Well, interesting. I mean, I could actually say that we've got something else to talk about next week, because not only are you taking part in your first D&D game, Chris has bought the Curse of Strahd module for Roll20. To hell with messing with maps. So you'll be able to see firsthand somebody DMing with a purpose-bought module, which is good. And also, we're establishing that there is a subculture of mathematicians in the Dangerlings. Tweet as mathematicians. It's great. Don't be ashamed. People are sort of like, oh, I'm an accountant. That's great. Yeah, it's really good. You're better.
The Simpsons is written by mathematicians.
Is it really?
Yeah, I can't remember if we've talked about this before. We'll get to this point where I can't remember which stories we've done before. But the original and sort of longest running writing team for The Simpsons, by coincidence more than anything, all had maths qualifications, and so there are lots and lots of mathematics jokes in The Simpsons, and they all work. So if you anytime if Bart's writing a massive long formula or something on a wall, that will be a real formula. That will be solvable. Wow. So there's all these kind of really niche maths jokes throughout The Simpsons.
Well, there we go. There we are. But tweet us maths, and it is the gate and key to the sciences, famously. I can't remember who said that, but it was somebody famous. Now, obviously, we're talking about the sort of, with the Pathfinder, that's Roll20 and modules and stuff. Shall we move on to the main course? We've whet our appetites for the aperitifs, and now we are moving on to the meat, which is what's on behind you.
It's what's on behind me. It's these guys. So we've already done an episode a few weeks ago. If you probably saw it live, if not, it's not. The video's on YouTube or the audio is on our Patreon. You can go and listen back to that, where we reviewed book one of the Devastation Ark Adventure Path, and we have been sent books 2 and 3, so we thought it would be fun to talk about the 2 of them as well, give you an idea of the whole adventure path going through it. I'm going to try to be, obviously, it's going to be more of a preview than a review, because we haven't played it, obviously, but I've given it a good read through. And actually, I'm going to try as hard as possible to make it spoiler light. Although, obviously, bear in mind that if you are going to play this, if you're going to listen to us talk through 2 books, you're going to learn a few things about what's in those books. So just bear that in mind. But I'm going to try and keep it fairly light, if only because I want to run you through this at some point, James, because I really like this. I want to run this for our group.
Absolutely. And you know that how I feel about spoilers. Yeah, it was this here to discuss, but not give away details. And I've got some questions to start off with, just to give us a bit of structure to get your thinking cap on. So what levels, if I started, can you start this as level 1?
No. So
okay.
So Devastation Ark is the high level adventure path. So the whole idea is most of the adventure paths for Starfinder, the standard ones, cap out at I think level 13. That's all the 6 book ones. So Dead Suns and
Signal Screams,
Legacy of Fire, and Signal Screams does, but that Signal Screams is part of this sort of trilogy that they've done. So as well as all the 6 book ones, you've also got 3 book adventure paths. Against the Aeon Throne is one of them, which we've just played. That leads straight into, or can lead straight into, Signal of Screams, which covers the middle ones, which gets you to the same level as the 6-book ones, gets you to level 13. Devastation Ark is for you to play once you've finished all of those. So it is high-level Starfinder play.
Right.
So you are going to finish this. You're going to start it at, I think, level 13. You are going to be finishing it at level 20. So the final battle of this, you will be level 20 Starfinder characters, and you will need to be.
Good heavens.
If there is one word to describe how Devastation Ark gets, it is epic. It is huge.
Well, one would hope so, because of course that is something that should define every sort of level 20 final boss fight. Surely, to goodness, it's not just going to be the sort of, oh look, it's a guy in a white suit, the architect, that kind of stamp script ending. You want something hugely epic. And also, Starfinder is a ripe avenue for that kind of space opera. I would say, but again, not giving away. These are just my speculations on because it's a sci-fi setting, really. So, upon getting the book, what can we expect? Are there new mechanics, or is it just all plot?
No, there's some new mechanics. They change a lot about how it runs. So we talked in our first.
Not going into details.
Yes, of course. We talked in our first review about Waking the World Seed, which is the first book of it, which is where you go to a new luxury resort, you find something under the surface of the moon, and it evolves from there. Where we pick up with the second book, this is where we start dealing with the titular Devastation Ark, which is Ark with a K, so as we said in the last one. So it's a big ship. So this is the story of the 2 second parts of this is very much if you want to play Mass Effect as a role-playing game, if you want to play another thing that's quite like it is the Borg, when the Borg first come to the Federation in Next Generation. Sort of not the many times they show up later on, but that first time when they just turn up on the edge of the system. That is what you're dealing with. Something is coming to the Pact Worlds. It is arriving, and it is about what you do with it, how you deal with it from then on.
Cool. So
you have 2 books that we're going to cover in this one. Book 2 is, for me, the real highlight. Book 2 got me really excited. This is the one that makes me want to play this. Book 3 looks good, but Book 2 is just really innovative in how it deals with high-level gameplay, which is something that's not really been tested in Starfinder, because we haven't had a lot of adventures that run at this level. And we kind of know that the system works well at high level, certainly better than first edition Pathfinder. But, applying that to an adventure, especially an adventure that has to follow on from another adventure path, and one where the heroes are now probably, your player characters are probably really famous by now, and they're some of the most important people, or some of the highest level characters in the game. Like if you've been playing through Threefold Conspiracy, like you can be in the government by this point in the game.
Amazing.
There's so many different. There's so many, like that's kind of the level you can be at going into this.
Do you mean
when you get sort of caught up on this?
Do you mean you could be getting involved with sort of George Lucas-esque sort of trade agreements with the Republic and things like that, exciting stuff like that? Maybe you could have your own floating bubble, like a little sort of bubble seat.
I like to think of it like Independence Day. The president has to get in a fighter jet kind of situation. So the first section, I'll talk you through sort of some of the stuff that's going on. So the whole setup of Book 2 is that something is arriving in the Pact Worlds. Something is coming from
somewhere else.
The void, from interstellar space, and that's kind of the key thing, because nothing comes from interstellar space. You get around by using drift gates in Starfinder. So you have one system, which is the Pact Worlds. If you want to go to other systems, you use drift gates, and you activate it, you drop in the drift, and then you reappear in this other system sometimes. And that's how you get to like Near Space and the Vast, and that's where the Aslantes system is, and the Veskarium. And so you can go there, but you don't fly there over millions of, because it would take thousands of years to fly there directly. You don't go through interstellar space. It's kind of like, if you imagine, it's like getting the tube in London when you don't really know your way around it. You get on the tube at Bank, and then you appear at Stratford, but you don't necessarily have to know how those things are connected, because you don't walk between them. You kind of just popping up on places. This is the Devastation Ark that we're talking about. The Ark is walking in from Kent slowly, and it's trying to get to the middle of London. To what's the centre of London? What's the
probably Trafalgar Square.
Probably it's trying to get to Trafalgar Square to buy some tat from a souvenir shop. That's what it's trying to do, and we have to stop it. What this does is interesting, partly because that's a great trope. That's the whole thing of this, like, something has entered it happens in Star Trek a lot. It's that kind of
it's a very common sci-fi thing, isn't it?
The beacon has detected something entering the system, and we know it's coming. It means it goes past all the other planets first, or most of the other planets first, because it's coming to Absalom Station, which is where you are. But what it does is it takes away something that ruins the tension in a lot of modern and sci-fi settings, which is easy communication. Nothing kills tension and drama in a setting more than a mobile phone, more than the fact that you can just dial somebody straight away and say what's happening. But space is big, and it means it takes messages a very long time to arrive. So by the time you find out that this thing has entered the system, it's already halfway here. It's and stuff is already happening. So when you're getting reports, you're not talking to people directly on a view screen while it's happening. You're just hearing reports from the front line after they've already happened. And obviously it's going past all of the other or a load of the other planets first. So other planets are reacting to it. Maybe they're sending their fleets out to try and stop it, and you're just hearing that forces have peeled off from this attacking thing and are now attacking one of the other planets. What do we do about that? And so the first part of book 2 is all about that. It's all about basically you being summoned by the Pact Worlds Council, and it's like, well, you guys are the heroes of the Pact Worlds. What do we do? And so the first part becomes all about resource allocation, which is just a really, a fascinating mechanic for some stuff. You've got fleets and you've got resources and you've got stuff spread around the Pact Worlds, and there are things you could do with them. It's like, okay, maybe we can evacuate civilians that are going to be in this thing's path. Maybe we can go and help the fleet that engaged it to retreat before we lose them completely. Well, now, maybe we just pull everyone back to Absalom to defend.
Dan, easy on the detail there.
I'm
very excited, but it's like, let's leave some surprises for them. But I think there is. Obviously, we're not telling the actual details, but
it's about that. This is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be negotiating.
You're so excited. It's lovely to see.
This, I suspect, if you've built a full combat soldier or a Solarian in this first part, you may find yourself taking a back seat to the envoy for a little while, because there's a lot of role play and a lot of talk in this one. But I love that for such a high level thing. I love that it goes straight in with a big role play heavy section, and it's all about negotiation and stuff like that. After you've got, I'll rattle on, because otherwise I'll go through so much detail.
Yeah, exactly. Just ease of the detail, because we want people to play this.
Once you've got all of your, once you've done all this negotiation, the next thing, of course, you've got to do, if there's a big menace, you're going to have to combat it, and you're not going to combat it by flying your starship, your tier 17 starship, at this thing that's the size of this thing that's the size of a moon.
Hey, the Ace ship could take that on. Come on, now.
The good old Ace ship.
The good old Ace ship.
Spider that the Aeon Throw, man. If it survives Signal of Screams, we'll see.
Oh, that was ominous. Thanks.
But
that's all private stuff on the game.
You're going to be. There's a fleet now. There's the Pact Worlds has an armada, and so we're going to start playing with armada combat. This is something you may have read the rules for if you've got the Starship Operations Manual that came out this year, which has all the Starship rules in it. Weirdly, the Armada rules in this are different to the ones in the Starship Operations Manual, because the two books were being developed at the same time, and there wasn't time to kind of join the rules together for it because of the publishing schedule. So they're ever so slightly different. So you might want to just pick which version you like the best. But having read the ones in the module, they seem to work pretty well. So you're going to get to command some mass spaceship combat. You're going to get to do some, you're going to get to do your trench run. You're going to get to do your sort of your close star fighting, all of that. And then in the third book, which we'll talk very little about because it's very hard to talk about it, you are going to be going to the very heart of this menace, and you're going to be confronting it and trying to bring an end to it. And if you fail, there are very real consequences, because kind of either way your campaign will end, unless you are creative and you want to do level 20 gameplay going onwards. You're going to finish this at level 20. So you get kind of two endings, basically. Either you win or everyone loses. Those are the stakes of this one. This isn't a kind of like, if we lose, okay, our crew die and they, maybe a planet falls. If you lose, the packed worlds probably falls. That's the stakes that you are dealing with in this adventure path. And you're doing it against the clock as well. This is the other thing, is all of this is unfolding really fast, and your character, it gives a really good warning. Basically, your characters can rest if you need to, but every minute that you rest, people are dying. So that's the decision you have to make, is how many people do you sacrifice to get your level 2 spells back? Or do we just push on? Do we just ration this? Do I cast the magic missile now, or do I just try and just take this guy down with a stick and just hope that we can get through this, because I might need that spell in the next fight? Do I heal now, or do I wait until I'm really in danger and then take the healing? You're going to be given everything by the NPCs to help you, and you're going to be challenged on everything by the monsters. It is really tough, and I'm really exciting.
It's really exciting.
Yes,
I mean, it is very exciting to see how excited you are about these books, and it certainly does sound like a sort of classic science fiction, kind of a plot, and even the plot of some fighting fantasy games, things like that. Not fighting fantasy, Final Fantasy. There's one of that. Yeah. It sounds like people. Greg makes the comment about Book 6 of Hell's Rebels. Does that apparently? Are you familiar with Hell's Rebels?
I am not. No. Hell's Rebels is Cheliax, I think. It's the other half of, you have Hell's Rebels and Hell's Vengeance. One of them is the evil campaign, and one of them is the goodly campaign. I think Vengeance is I would imagine with the title, Vengeance is the evil campaign, Rebels is the goodly one.
Interesting, yeah. But apparently that does sort of the negotiation side of things. And it's nice to see stuff thrown in, because, I mean, it reminds me very much of early discussions we've had on the stream and elsewhere about that problem. It's the Superman problem. Like, what threat does Superman have? Because he's Superman. So, like, what do you throw at Superman? And obviously, this is one of those things where it's like, here we go. This is what you throw at a level 20 character. Boom. And there's some interesting mechanics.
I had Superman in my note. I wrote Superman down when I was thinking about this, actually, because it is to do with that. And I was really pleased that not every encounter is just about throwing level 18 monsters at your group and just having a bigger fight. And there are some fights like that. If you just want to fight a massive there are gargantuan monsters in this that you can fight. If you've got a good Roll20 map, this is going to look insane when you've got huge monsters and your tiny tokens running around them. There are bits like that in it, but also there's just as many encounters where you're fighting circumstances as much as you're doing anything. You're trying to help people. It's got things like, it's got troop rules in there, which are some of my favorite things in Starfinder and Pathfinder. Troop rules are where you have it's like big swarms. So it's like, if you have a crowd, if you have like an angry mob, rather than statting 100 regular people, you give it one stat block representing just that many people. Because maybe you can kill 100 peasants individually, but can you kill 100 peasants when all of them are trampling over you all at once? Even as a high level character, they're gonna do some damage eventually if you just stand in the way of them. It's that thing of being, how many 5-year-olds could you beat in a fight? How many 5-year-olds could you beat in a fight?
16.
James?
Proven.
16.
Yeah, I've still got the trophy. I'll tell you what, you said about monsters coming from Kent. I mean, that was an annual competition we had in my hometown. We get all the 5-year-olds together, and then we beat the crap out of them. So, but it was good for them. It was good. It made me stronger when I went through what we like to call the arena, the ordeal. So 16. What about you, Dan? I reckon
the running
2.
of the preschoolers. It is it's a treasured event here in London when they try and rush the centre of London, and we just have to hold them back for as long as possible.
I'm doing it actually. Funny, just after this, I'm doing a stream for UK tourism. So they want to speak about our quaint local customs and things like that. Tweet us, 5-year-olds.
Oh dear. And there's, without spoiling anything, because it's on the cover and it's directly behind me, there's a space dragon in it. So
space dragon.
Like space dragons. But yeah, you're going to be, because while there's a battle going on around Absalom Station is falling apart, and it's where everyone lives. So you've got this entire community, to hundreds of thousands of people, and suddenly the power's not working. Suddenly the lights are off. Suddenly weird creatures are appearing. Think the park's gone crazy. Holes are opening in the walls. There's all sorts of things that could be going wrong, and you just have to keep rushing to protect people. And it's that's the kind of that's the Superman thing. Is what challenge do you give to Superman? It's, can he save everybody? No, he can't. That's how you make it. How you challenge high-level people.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice to have some decent, because that's an old trick, sort of statting blocks of troops and things like that. And it's something that I found quite unsatisfying, not in Starfinder, we haven't played that, but in other campaigns where there have been sort of armies. It's almost like one of those computer games where you're fighting a one-on-one battle with somebody, and in the background there are just silhouettes of people doing the same animation again and again, and then you beat them, the person you're fighting. It's like, yay, you won. And it's like, what were my troops doing? How was that ebb and flow of the battle? I mean, I'm quite a tabletop gamer. I like my strategy and stuff like that. So I'm always quite curious about that side of things in sort of, when I role play, and it's rarely satisfied in a decent way, I find.
Yeah, what I think really helps this is the fact that it starts at such high level, because it means you don't have to water down the threat. We played a very similar adventure to this when we played Rise of Tiamat.
Yes, it was Rise of Tiamat I was thinking of, actually.
So it has that similar kind of arc with the C, of kind of a big evil that rises, and eventually you have to rally everyone together and defeat it. But I think where Rise of Tiamat falls down is because it starts at low level. The threat starts off almost comedically small, and it becomes quite hard to then kind of, because you're getting so powerful as well, it becomes quite hard to explain why this thing is now a threat, and why you have to rally everyone together. And it's kind of like, well, why do we need our armies? It's those bozos that we've been just kicking around for the last 7 levels. Whereas in this, it's kind of like you play something else for most of your adventuring career. You finish it, you become the heroes of the Pact Worlds, or you become these legendary heroes, and then bam, the greatest threat in the universe is here suddenly now, and you have to deal with it. And there's no kind of build up to it. It's this seemingly unstoppable thing.
I think you're absolutely right. It's nice as well for the because echoing what you're saying. Yeah, Chris says you played Rise of Tiamat. Oof, I feel for you. Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. I mean, Ross was our GM. I think he did a great job, but we all agreed that it wasn't the best module, and it was, as you say, Dan, because of course, the threat, explaining it as a GM of how suddenly it's like, and now they're rampaging through the Sword Coast. You're like, hang on a sec, what they were literally like in a cave about 2 months ago, and now they're rampaging along the entire Sword Coast. Like, what the flip? And it was very difficult to reconcile the threat with what we'd experienced, But I think in this, at least, it's like, nah, it's a big old thing coming to get you, and we no messing about, no like, sort of little threats you can deal with. It's like, nah, it's going to come and end you all. Now, it does sound very exciting. I think. How much will this set you back?
So it's the standard. It's the standard adventure path. I can't remember. This is how much is a pint of milk? How much is a single volume of adventure path these days? I think it's about £12, tenner.
So you're looking at sort of get on sale, something like 3 books. Looks like the usual customary beautiful artwork going on there as well, sort of a practical side of things, and sounds like it'll be great fun and something to really throw at your level if you're lucky enough to have high level characters still playing a campaign. Who knows? Maybe one day Dr. Whipdick, my beloved Shiran scientist / specialist, will be facing this threat, and I think he'll take it down on his own. But now we've got.
I think
he probably would. He just, he's just stealth
trick attack
it. Just trick attack it to death.
That's very Star Wars, isn't it? Trick attack.
It is very much. Now it's an interesting fact as well, and then we're going to move on to a final point because it's 3 minutes to. That apparently Chris says. That pairing of $22.99 for print, $15.99 for the PDF. There you go.
There
we go. And is that for all 3 books?
That's each book. And obviously, if you have an ongoing subscription, then you will get those included in that. So you will already have the PDF.
Tremendous. And so of course, it's not something you have to buy all 3 books at once.
No, just buy them as you go.
Thank you for that, Dan. Excellent. Good update. And Chris says that pairing of Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat were written before 5e's rules were finalised. It really shows in how they're written. Yes, that's quite interesting. A little bit of interesting background flavour. They definitely need a bit of a rewrite, I think, or just changing it. I mean, Tiamat, the mother of all dragons and all that kind of stuff, make it a higher level adventure. I don't think it should be a low-level adventure. I think it should be high level. But
you can play it without Horde of the Dragon Queen. You can just play the high-level version. Maybe it plays better that way. Maybe it's because we did the 2 of them together. But it was a I think everyone we've spoken to was kind of like, oh, that wasn't the way to experience 5e.
No.
So that's why I'm looking forward to Strahd, because that by all accounts very much is the way to experience 5e. So I'm looking forward to that.
I cannot wait to hear how that goes. And we've Ross has literally just chosen to come on and be like, maybe I should do.
Hey, Ross.
No, Ross, you
it's not.
You did a great job with. And we actually, if you'd been watching the last 5 minutes, you'll know that we backed you up. Now a question from Greg before we move on to our final comment, which is that the first space dragon in a Starfinder AP?
Ooh,
maybe
it's the first. You get them in some of the Alien Archive bits at the end. We didn't even get onto some of the Alien Archive stuff you get in some of the back, because you always get a few bonus aliens in the back of them, and one of them is a biker angel on like a winged bike, and it's cool.
Played by Nicolas Cage.
There have definitely been, so dragons do exist, and they have been in the system. I don't know if you've actually you must have fought a dragon in one of them, probably in Legacy of Fire. That's the sort of the super fantasy one. I would imagine that's where you have one, but certainly I've not found one in any of the APs I've run, but they're the 2 3-parters. So I've not come across any of those.
Maybe it was a lizard. Yeah, exactly, says Amy. Now,
nice.
It is true. We've hit 7 o'clock, but Ross makes a good point of, have you shown off your present? Yes, Dan has shown off his present, but we haven't had a leggings check. So, leggings check, please.
Thank you, Ross Thompson.
Whoa, check it out. Look at that. Dan is a shimmery, shiny mermaid of a GM there. How fantastic.
Ross sent me a copy of the Starship Operations Manual and some these rainbow mermaid leggings, which are wonderful, and I can tell you are pretty tight.
Yes, so I have actually a pair of those leggings myself that I bought to go as Neptune to a fancy dress party some time ago, and they are small. I'm a large gentleman, and they're rather petite. And Ross, in honour of his fine gift to you, has called you a fish man. So.
Thanks. That's probably the entirely why it was, so he could come on to this stream and call me a fishman. That is a Ross Thompson long form joke.
It is. He plays the long gag for the long gag. And Chris says they call him Dan the Eel Thompson. I think it is, slipping and sliding his way through your mind. So that has been the Devastation Ark Advanced, the module. Obviously now all 3 books that we have looked at, and what an interesting.
Yeah, we reviewed an adventure.
We did. We reviewed a whole thing. We've also discovered that a lot of the Dangerlings are mathematicians or accountants or ex-accountants, which is fine, good, excellent. We need maths. And that Ross plays the long gag. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about hearing how this game with Chris Alakar is going to go on Sunday with Club. And of course, we've got lots of different things to talk about next week. Call of Cthulhu.
Sounds like we're going to be talking about a lot of other systems next week. That can be fun. I want to hear about Cthulhu.
Which is good, because if we are heading into more lockdown measures, then this will become more and more current. And reach out to us. We love your questions. If you've got anything you'd like us to talk about on Dangerous Wednesdays, or anything that's a hot topic, or maybe just something you enjoy playing, do jump on the Discord. Let us know. Get involved with the wonderful community that we're building here, as we said earlier on at the beginning of Dangerous Wednesdays. You really do keep us going.
Yeah, we do. Oh, and one big final thing. We passed £700 on Patreon. We passed 30 patrons were now over that. Love you guys. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And any last thoughts from you, Dan?
Well, I'm going to back on my sparkly mask.
Ooh, look at that.
Back to the panda.
He's both responsible, safe, and fabulous.
Yep, my wife is going to think I look like an idiot. I'm going to go back in there. She's going to roll her eyes at me, but that's fine because I will look fabulous.
It looks like you've been eating a nebula and you've got it all over your face. Amazing. Well, this has been Dangerous Wednesdays, and with, of course, Dan, the Dungeon Master.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much again. It's been a good week.
Has been tremendous. And of course, from me, James Foxy Lockhart, thank you so much for joining us. And do jump on our Discord, join us for more of our fun and games. And, well, you just stay dangerous. See you later, guys.